Welcome, my bountiful friends. It's time to don your still suit, grab your crisp knife, and wage jihad against the cosmos in the name of the Muad'Dib. Because today we're going to be delving deep into the world's #1 science fiction novel, Frank Herbert's Dune. A young nobleman must master his innate superhuman capabilities and fulfill ancient prophecies, both real and artificial, while surviving the unrelenting onslaughts and intrigues of guilds and competitor houses. And the very environment he operates in will kill the incompetent. If the blistering heat doesn't get you, then the sandworm surely will. How and why did this book come to be? What's the author's story? What was the novel's impact on literature, and how does it fare today? As usual, I'll be diving in deep, and as always, there will be as many spoilers as there are Fremen warriors. And there will be plenty of opinions. You have been warned. Frank Herbert was an American science fiction author best known for his seminal novel, Dune, which has become one of the most influential works within the genre. Born on October 8, 1920, in Tacoma, Washington, Herbert showed an early interest in writing and journalism. He worked as a journalist, photographer and editor, and later taught creative writing. His diverse career and wide-ranging interests in ecology, politics, religion and philosophy would deeply inform his fiction, particularly Dune. His idea for the novel was sparked in the late 1950s when he was assigned to write an article on the sand dunes in Oregon. Though the article was never completed, his research inspired him to begin work on a sprawling epic that explored the relationship between humanity and its environment. He spent more than 5 years developing the world of Dune, drawing on influences from history, religion, science and mythology to craft the complex universe of the desert planet Arrakis. When Dune was completed, it was initially rejected by more than 20 publishers who found its length and complexity too daunting. Eventually, it was accepted by Chilton Books, a publisher better known for auto repair manuals than science fiction. It was published in 1965, and despite its unconventional release, it quickly gained attention for its rich world building, philosophical depth, and environmental themes. It won both the Hugo Award, which was shared with Roger Zelazny's and Call Me Conrad, and the inaugural Nebula Award for Best Novel, cementing its place in science fiction history. Following the success of the original novel, and prior to Herbert's own death in 1986, he would write 5 sequels. The first is Dune Messiah, written in 1969, followed by Children of Dune in 1976, then God Emperor of Dune 1981, Heretics of Dune 1984, and finally Chapter House Dune in 1985. These books expanded the narrative across thousands of years, delving deeper into the political, religious and ecological themes of the Dune universe. Paul Atreides is the protagonist. He's the Duke's eldest son and is therefore already a person destined to inherit great power. Through the machinations of the Emperor and his schemes, Paul narrowly evades being killed and seeks refuge among the Fremen, where he grows into a messianic figure, the Muad'Dib. Lady Jessica is Paul's mother and a Bene Gesserit concubine of Duke Leto. She disobeys the Bene Gesserit by bearing a son instead of a daughter, and subsequently trains Paul in the Bene Gesserit disciplines. On Arrakis, she escapes into the desert with Paul and becomes part of Fremen society, and ultimately serves as their Reverend Mother. Duke Leto Atreides is Paul's father and the noble ruler of House Atreides. After accepting the Emperor's offer to govern Arrakis, he briefly attempts to rule justly and win over the local population before he is betrayed by his doctor and captured by the Harkonnens. He dies shortly after. Alia Atreides is Paul's younger sister, and she's born after Jessica's spice-induced transformation. She possesses full consciousness before birth due to Jessica's imbibing of the waters of life. She acts as a fierce and prophetic child, and even assassinates Baron Harkonnen during Paul's final battle. She becomes a holy figure among the Fremen. Thufir Hawat is a Mentat, which is a human computer. He is also Master of Assassins for House Atreides. He survives the fall of House Atreides, but is captured and manipulated into working for Baron Harkonnen, though he continually secretly aids Paul. He dies after refusing to betray Paul. Gurney Halleck is Paul's loyal weapons master, trainer, and a cultured warrior. He fights alongside Duke Leto and manages to survive the fall of House Atreides, and subsequently becomes a smuggler. He then reunites with Paul and helps him lead the Fremen. Dr. Wellington Yueh is the Atreides physician and is also a traitor. He betrays Duke Leto under coercion by the Harkonnens and enables their invasion, but also gives Leto a chance to kill the Baron. He is then killed by the Harkonnens shortly after fulfilling his betrayal. Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Moem is a high-ranking Bene Gesserit, holding the title of the Emperor's Truthsayer. She is also Jessica's former mentor. She visits House Atreides at the start of the novel to test Paul. She disapproves of Lady Jessica's choice to bear a son against the Bene Gesserit orders, and advises the Emperor on the political threat of House Atreides, thereby indirectly supporting the plot against them. Baron Vladimir Harkonnen is the immediate antagonist. He's the head of House Harkonnen and orchestrates the downfall of House Atreides with help from the Emperor. He rules Arrakis through cruelty and oppression, and ultimately dies in the struggle with House Atreides. Beast Raban is Baron Harkonnen's nephew and the brutal governor of Arrakis. He is put in charge of the planet after the Atreides fall and oppresses the population harshly to maximise spice profits. He unwittingly creates the conditions for Paul to gain Fremen loyalty. As part of the Baron's schemes to play into Fremen myths, Raban is meant to be replaced by Feyd-Rautha in order for the people to welcome a Harkonnen saviour figure. Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen is the Baron's favoured nephew and heir. He is cunning and ambitious. He is trained to be the public face of House Harkonnen and the eventual replacement for Raban. He attempts political manoeuvring and assassination within the Harkonnen court. He ends up fighting Paul in single combat during the final confrontation, serving as the Emperor's champion. His death symbolically and literally ends the Harkonnen claim to Arrakis. Emperor Shaddam IV is the Padishah Emperor of the known universe. He conspires with the Harkonnens to destroy House Atreides, who he sees as a future threat to his own reign, which is ironically realised by his very actions in this story. He attempts to crush Paul's rebellion with Sardaukar troops, but is defeated by Paul and forced to abdicate power. Stilgar is the Fremen leader, and he becomes Paul's mentor and ally. He takes Paul and Jessica in after their escape from the Harkonnens. He subsequently becomes one of Paul's closest and most loyal commanders. Chani is a Fremen woman who becomes Paul's lover and partner. She is the mother of his children and supports Paul's rise amongst the Fremen. In the far future, thousands or even tens of thousands of years from the present, a human empire controls much of the cosmos using a complex feudal and guild system of governance. Duke Leto Atreides of House Atreides, ruler of the ocean world Caladan, is assigned by the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV to serve as a fief ruler of the desert planet Arrakis. Harsh and inhospitable, the planet is of enormous importance because it is the only planetary source of melange, or the spice, a unique and incredibly valuable substance that extends human youth, vitality, and lifespan. It is also through the consumption of spice that Space and Guild navigators are able to effect safe interstellar travel by warping space-time. Duke Leto suspects a trap, but he is compelled to obey the Emperor's orders anyway. Paul and his parents travel with their household to occupy Arrakeen, the capital of Arrakis. Leto learns of the dangers involved in harvesting the spice, which is protected by giant sandworms, and seeks to negotiate with the planet's indigenous Fremen people, seeking them as a valuable ally rather than foes. Soon after the Atreides' arrival, Harkonnen forces attack, joined by the Emperor's ferocious Sardaukar troops in disguise. Leto is betrayed by his personal physician, Dr. Wellington Yueh, who delivers a drugged Leto into the hands of Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. Paul and Jessica traverse the desert in search of Fremen people. After being captured by a Fremen band, Paul and Jessica agree to teach the Fremen the Bene Gesserit fighting technique known as the Weirding Way. In order to be accepted into the community of Seich Taiber, each must prove their worth. Paul proves his ability by killing a Fremen man in a ritualistic knife fight and chooses the Fremen name Muad'Dib, while Jessica opts to undergo a ritual to become a reverend mother by drinking the poisonous water of life. Pregnant with Leto's daughter, she inadvertently causes the unborn child, Alia, to become infused with the same powers in the womb. Paul takes a Fremen lover, Chani, who bears him a son that he names Leto. 2 years pass, and Paul's powerful predictions begin to manifest, which confirms to the Fremen that he is their prophesied Messiah. Word of the new Fremen leader reaches both the Baron and the Emperor as spice production falls due to their increasing destructive raids. Paul decides he must increase his clairvoyant capabilities by drinking the water of life, which is traditionally fatal to males. Paul falls into unconsciousness for 3 weeks after drinking the poison, but when he wakes, he has clairvoyance across time and space, which means that he is the Kwisatz Haderach, the ultimate goal of the Bene Gesserit breeding program. Paul senses the Emperor and the Baron are amassing fleets around Arrakis to quell the Fremen rebellion, and prepares the Fremen for a major offensive against the Harkonnen troops. The Emperor arrives with the Baron on Arrakis. The Sardaukar seize a Fremen outpost, killing many, including young Leto, while Alia is captured and taken to the Emperor. Under cover of an electric storm, which shorts out the Sardaukar's defensive shields, Paul and the Fremen, riding giant sandworms, destroy the capital's natural rock fortifications with atomics and attack, while Alia assassinates the Baron and escapes. The Fremen quickly defeat both the Harkonnen and Sardaukar troops due to their combined training and House Atreides strategy and weaponry. Paul faces the Emperor, threatening to destroy spice production forever unless Shaddam abdicates the throne. Feyd-Rautha attempts to stop Paul by challenging him to a ritualistic knife fight, during which Paul manages to gain the upper hand and kills him. The Emperor reluctantly cedes the throne to Paul and promises his daughter, Princess Irulan's hand in marriage. As Paul takes control of the Empire, he realizes that while he has achieved his goal, he is no longer able to stop the Fremen jihad, as their belief in him is now too powerful to restrain. Dune is renowned not only for its expansive world building and complex themes, but also for its distinctive writing style and immersive atmosphere. Herbert's prose is dense and layered, often weaving together philosophical reflection, political intrigue, and ecological observation. His style is deliberate and thoughtful, frequently using introspection and inner monologue to explore the motivations of his characters. Rather than relying heavily on action, he builds tension through psychologically complex and strategic dialogue, creating a cerebral tone that demands close attention from the reader. One of the defining features of the book's style is its use of multiple perspectives. The narrative shifts between characters, often within the same scene, to offer a multifaceted view of events. This technique deepens the reader's understanding of the intricate political manoeuvring and personal dilemmas that shape the story. The atmosphere of Dune is intensely immersive, shaped by the harsh, unforgiving desert world of Arrakis. Herbert evokes this setting with vivid sensory detail: blistering heat, whispering sand, and the ever-present threat of giant sandworms. The planet's scarcity of water and the cultural adaptation of the Fremen people contribute to an atmosphere of survival and spiritual austerity. Combined with the looming presence of prophecy, mysticism, and imperial politics, the world of Dune manages to simultaneously feel both ancient and futuristic. Overall, Herbert's style combines intellectual depth with atmospheric richness, drawing readers into a world that is at once alien and eerily familiar. It's a novel that rewards patience, offering not just a story, but a fully realised philosophical vision of humanity's possible future. Dune explores a wide range of complex and interwoven themes, making it one of the most intellectually rich novels in science fiction. At its core, the book examines power and how it is gained, wielded, and sustained. The struggle for control over the desert planet Arrakis, the sole source of the spice melange, serves as a metaphor for real-world conflicts over natural resources, such as oil. Spice is central not only to the commerce, but to religion, space travel, and longevity, symbolising how deeply intertwined power structures are with resource dependency. Ecology is a key theme too. Herbert was deeply interested in environmental science, and Dune reflects his concern with the balance between humans and their ecosystems. Arrakis is a hostile, arid world where water is more precious than gold. The Fremen's way of life, focused on water conservation and long-term ecological transformation, stands in contrast to the exploitative practices of imperial and corporate power. This theme anticipates modern environmental debates and remains strikingly relevant to this day. Religion is also central to the novel. Paul Atreides' transformation into the Muad'Dib, a messianic figure among the Fremen, explores the dangers of religious manipulation and the power of myth. Herbert warns against the blind following of charismatic leaders, showing how belief can be weaponized to serve political ends. The Bene Gesserit long-term genetic and religious engineering programs further underscore this theme as they manufacture prophecy in order to shape human history. Free will versus fate is another recurring motive. While Paul appears to fulfill a prophesied destiny, much of his journey is marked by an awareness of the destructive consequences of following a fixed path. The book poses the question whether true freedom is possible in a world shaped by centuries of conditioning, prophecy, and genetic manipulation. Finally, identity and transformation are explored through both individual and cultural lenses. Paul's evolution from noble heir to messianic ruler mirrors the transformation of the Fremen from oppressed desert dwellers to a rising galactic force. Through all these themes, Dune presents a layered focus on the forces that shape civilization: ecology, religion, politics, and human psychology, challenging readers to reflect on the future of our own world and culture. When Dune was first published in 1965 by Chiltern Books, its initial reception was mixed but gradually gained traction, eventually becoming one of the most celebrated science fiction novels of all time. While some early reviewers were overwhelmed by its complexity and unconventional narrative structure, others immediately recognised its ambition and depth. The novel was not an instant bestseller, but it quickly gained a dedicated following. Critics praised the novel for its richly imagined world, intricate political intrigue, and philosophical underpinnings. Many noted its originality in presenting a far future universe grounded not in advanced technology or aliens, but rather in ecology, religion, and human psychology. The book's environmental themes, particularly its emphasis on water scarcity and ecological balance, were especially forward-thinking and resonated with the growing environmental awareness of the 1960s. Public response grew more enthusiastic as word slowly spread, especially when the novel won the Hugo and Nebula Awards. The awards established its place as a sci-fi classic. Its success helped elevate science fiction from being seen as merely a pulp entertainment to a medium capable of serious literary exploration, at least in some circles. The legacy of Dune is vast and enduring. It has influenced countless writers, filmmakers, and thinkers. Many authors like George R.R. Martin and Kim Stanley Robinson have cited it as a major inspiration, and its impact can be seen in major franchises such as Star Wars. Its themes of power, resource control, religious manipulation, and human evolution remain deeply relevant. Beyond literature, Dune has inspired films, television adaptations, board games, video games, and a great song by Iron Maiden. Today, Dune is considered a cornerstone of science fiction. It is frequently and consistently ranked the #1 novel in the genre and continues to attract new generations of readers, scholars, and fans. Every time I see a poll on the best science fiction books, Dune is very often in the #1 spot, and always in the top 3. And there's little question as to why. The first thing that struck me was the scale. It tells its narrative at both the individual, planetary, and universal level. And then there's the sense of the mythic that spans eons of time. This means that there's something for everyone, and the reader has little chance of becoming bored, as they are always keeping up with some new piece of information or lore concerning the nature of this literary world. There's a heavy mix of culture too. It very clearly starts out with a European medieval feel, and then transitions to a Middle Eastern setting complete with Arab cultural sensibilities, which make for an intriguing contrast. There are also clues that Dune may exist within our own world too. Several of the characters' names are either traditional or else reference Earth place names. We have Paul, Jessica, Vladimir, Idaho, Wellington, and for the icing on the cake, the Harkonnen mentat Peter de Vries. Notably, there are no aliens present in Herbert's world, which is often a main selling point for many a sci-fi novel. In the Dune universe, humanity itself has become the alien, and it is also the threat. Humanity has evolved through the progression of time, distance, deliberate genetic manipulation, and prolonged exposure to the spice melange. This feels as if this could be our real future. There's something else that stands out about Dune. It's very clearly the first instalment of a series of novels. The third novel, Children of Dune, is an award-winning book in its own right, yet the vast majority of readers do not seem to continue to read the other novels in the series. I have often wondered why this is, and perhaps it's primarily due to the fact that the first book has a very clearly defined beginning, middle and end, and that it is a complete and satisfying meal in its own right. In fact, reading further may risk the possibility of spoiling the initial book's perfection. I myself am actually guilty of this, although I have been intrigued enough about some of the things I have heard concerning the story arc, especially concerning Paul, that the next 2 books are now firmly on my TBR list. I also suspect that the subsequent de Villeneuve film will rectify the situation for the larger readership. So what are your thoughts on Sci-Fi's #1 novel? Which moment and aspect did you like the most? Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell icon for more deep dives into the world of literature. Until next time, keep reading and remember, you must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. He who controls the spice controls the universe. The sleeper must awaken. May the knife chip and shatter.